Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you about the battles of Imphal and Kohima, and these battles are largely unknown, but they shouldn't be, because these battles played just as much of a role in the Pacific theater of World War II as did the battles of Okinawa, Iwo Jima, Midway, Coral Sea, Guadalcanal. And so we need to know about the battles of Imphal and Kohima, okay? The battles occurred between March the 8th of 1944 to July 3rd of 1944. Okay, the commander of the British 14th Army that was at Imphal was Lieutenant General William Slim. And William Slim was a soldier. He cared about the men's needs. He made sure the men that he commanded were taken good care of. And all the men who served under him really liked him, okay? And any mistakes that were made in the battles of Imphal and Kohima, he took complete responsibility for it. So he took responsibility for his own actions. And on the Japanese side, the commander of the Japanese forces at Imphal and Kohima was a man by the name of Lieutenant General Renya Mutaguchi. Okay, back in 1942, he opposed an invasion of Imphal and Kohima, but 2 years later, he changed his mind. Okay, what the Japanese were trying to do at Imphal and Kohima is they were trying to cut off a main American supply route to China, because America was supplying the nationalists and the communists in China, because both groups declared a ceasefire with each other and declared war on Imperial Japan. The Japanese also wanted to seize the airfields, the American airfields that were bombing key Japanese targets. They were taking off from India, and they were delivering heavy losses to the Japanese. But the Japanese did poor planning at Imphal. They automatically thought that the population of India was going to welcome them as liberators and help them, which didn't happen. And also they thought the people from India who were fighting for the British, were going to desert and defect in record numbers, and that didn't happen. Very few, if any, desertions happened. And the Indian 50th Parachute Brigade that was at Kohima, they were ran off a few key positions by the Japanese, but they didn't let the Japanese take all of Kohima, and they were cut off from water. They were without water for about 6 days, but they still held out until reinforcements arrived. And that's an amazing accomplishment. And that's not something the Japanese expected. They only gave their soldiers 3 weeks worth of rations, and they said, if you're hungry, you'll fight better and you'll snatch food or rations from the enemy. It will motivate you better to kill the enemy. Well, that didn't work. Some Japanese were so hungry that they were eating their dead soldiers. Guys they fought with, they were eating because they were that hungry. Some of them killed monkeys in the area, and they ate monkeys. And they ate monkey meat. I mean, that's just what they did to survive. I mean, they were dehydrated. A lot of them died from malaria and dysentery, sometimes more than battlefield wounds. And the Japanese tried to attack Imphal during Imphal's rainy season, and the rainy season was more rainy than a typical rainy season. So they were trying to climb hills of mud while being shot at by the enemy, and that didn't work. One of the hills, the Japanese lost so many men, the Japanese nicknamed it Red Hill. And the British Indians, it wasn't just the British, it wasn't just the Indians who fought for Britain. The Gurkhas from Nepal also fought at the Battle of Imphal, and they did really well as well. And there was also a West African brigade from Britain's West African colonies. So around 2/3, maybe more, about 70% of the soldiers at the battles of Imphal and Kohima were not ethnically British. And the Indian National Army was crushed by the British Indian Army at Imphal. The Indian National Army was crushed, and there were very few survivors. There were several reasons. One, there were some British Indian prisoners that were captured at Singapore that were used as target practice by the Japanese soldiers. And some of them survived. One of them definitely did, a guy named Ali Akbar, and he lived to tell his story. Most didn't survive, but some miraculously survived. So they knew how brutal the Japanese treated their prisoners of war. And they did not believe that propaganda. Also, Chandra Bose did not start the Indian National Army. It was a man by the name of Captain Mohan Singh. But as soon as he found out that Japan didn't care about India's independence from Britain and it was just going to be a puppet army for Japan, he resigned and left. And the Japanese were not happy about that, and they threw him in prison. So that's what happened as well. And then there was not another major Japanese invasion after the Battle of Imphal, and the Japanese did not win a single other battle after the Battle of Imphal. That's how much of an impact it was. And the British were very impressed by how well the Indians fought. They granted India its independence, not immediately after World War II, but in 1947, they granted India their independence. That was a major accomplishment as well. So, anyways, hope everyone's doing well. Take care. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.